To look upon the Gobi Desert is to look upon one of the most uncompromising landscapes on planet Earth. Stretching over hundreds of thousands of square miles across southern Mongolia and northern China, this vast domain is far more than a simple sea of sand dunes. It is a brutal, high-altitude wilderness of crusted gravel, sun-baked clay, exposed bedrock, and parched scrubland. Here, the atmosphere knows no moderation. During the height of summer, ambient temperatures routinely soar past 100 degrees Fahrenheit, causing the air to shimmer with intense heat waves. Yet in a matter of months, those same horizons drop into bone-chilling sub-zero freezes. Water is a rare treasure, and shade is virtually non-existent. Yet, amidst this hostile expanse, human life does not merely survive, it moves. For over 3,000 years, Mongolian nomads have inhabited this rugged ecosystem, perfecting a way of life built entirely on mobility, deep ecological knowledge, and harmony with their herds. They are pastoral herders, relying on 5 core animals: camels, goats, sheep, horses, and cattle, for their nourishment, clothing, shelter, and economic survival. They own no private plots of land, fence in no fields, and erect no permanent concrete structures. Their domain is the open pasture, and their home is the jir, a traditional, felt-covered domed yurt engineered over centuries to be dismantled in under 2 hours, loaded onto a trailer, and transported across the steppe whenever grass or water runs dry. For herders like Nergi Narantsetseg and his wife Munktul Bansarash, life in the southern Gobi begins well before sunrise. Even when summer fades, the biting morning cold sits near freezing. Their day revolves around maintaining their animals, scouting for pasture, and bracing against an increasingly unpredictable climate. But today, the ancient rhythm of the Gobi is breaking. The environmental equilibrium that sustained generations of nomads is being pushed to its absolute threshold. How do nomadic families continue to navigate Asia's largest, most unforgiving desert when the land itself is vanishing beneath their feet? To understand modern nomadic survival, one must examine a profound transformation occurring across northern Asia. Over the past 80 years, official meteorological records show that average temperatures in Mongolia have surged by more than 2.25 degrees Celsius, nearly triple the global warming average. This rapid temperature rise has disrupted the regional hydrological cycle. Historically, gentle summer rains, known locally as boru, would soak slowly into the soil over days, nourishing the deep roots of perennial desert shrubs and wild grasses. Today, those steady rains are increasingly replaced by rare, violent rainstorms and sudden cloudbursts. When these severe downpours hit the sun-baked, compacted crust of the Gobi, the water cannot penetrate the earth. Instead, it washes violently across the surface, eroding precious topsoil before evaporating under the blazing sun. The structural consequence of this pattern is rapid, aggressive desertification. Environmental assessments reveal that over 75% of Mongolia's entire landmass is now affected by soil degradation and desertification. Grasslands that once supported millions of grazing animals are transforming into barren gravel flats and expanding desert crusts. For herder families deep in the southern Gobi, traditional pastures are simply drying up. Plant species that once provided crucial protein for animals during summer months no longer sprout. Springs and natural water holes that sustained pastoralists for centuries have turned to dust. Faced with parched land, families are forced into grueling emergency migrations. Nergui and Munktul were forced to make the heartbreaking choice to migrate hundreds of kilometers away from their ancestral home deeper south, leaving behind their camel herds because they no longer had the resources or pasture to maintain them. As Nergui observes, in the Gobi, it is difficult to be a herder. No rain, and desertification is everywhere. In a desert where surface water disappears almost instantly under scorching afternoon heat, water management is the ultimate daily priority. Rainwater alone cannot sustain a herd. Nomadic families must tap into deep underground aquifers scattered across the vast terrain. Every day, herders navigate miles across rocky ground to reach isolated concrete wellheads. Connecting portable, gasoline-powered motor pumps to the well shafts, they pull cold, clear groundwater up from deep underground into long metal drinking troughs. Within minutes of the engine starting, herds of livestock, cashmere goats, sheep, and double-humped Bactrian camels gather around the trough, drinking eagerly. Herders then fill heavy metal jerry cans with water, strapping them onto motorcycles or loading them into the back of vehicles to transport back to camp for domestic cooking and drinking. While men manage herd movements and water extraction across miles of open land, life inside and around the ger demands continuous domestic resourcefulness. In the vast treeless environment of the Gobi, wood is a rare commodity. To overcome this, nomad women harvest dry fuel directly from the desert landscape. They gather the dried roots of desert shrubs along with sun-cured animal dung, known in Mongolia as argal. Collected in woven baskets, argal serves as the primary fuel source for the central cast-iron stove inside the yurt. It burns hot, clean, and slow, providing essential heat for cooking meals and keeping the ger warm during sub-zero nights. Food preparation is carefully adapted for maximum energy and preservation. Without refrigeration, fresh meat spoils rapidly in summer heat. Nomads rely on centuries-old curing techniques. Meat from mutton or camel is salt-cured and hung from the wooden rafters of the ger to air dry into dense, tough strips called borts. To prepare a meal, Munktul hand shreds this preserved meat, simmering it in a large iron pot over the stove fire. She kneads flour and water into a smooth dough, rolling it out into paper-thin sheets before slicing it into long, handmade noodles. Combined with the dried meat broth, it forms a calorie-dense soup designed to sustain herders through 14-hour workdays under the blazing sun. Every resource is utilized with care. In the desert, nothing is wasted. To survive in the modern Gobi, herders have merged ancient nomadic customs with modern technology. The image of a nomad riding exclusively on horseback across the steppe has largely evolved. Today, almost every family relies on lightweight motorcycles and fuel-efficient hybrid cars, most notably the ubiquitous Toyota Prius. These vehicles allow herders to cover dozens of miles in minutes, tracking down livestock dispersed across vast pastures or hauling supplies from regional settlements. Outside the yurts, solar panels charge heavy-duty 12-volt batteries, powering LED lighting, satellite television, and smartphones. This provides families with crucial weather forecasts and market prices for wool and meat. Yet this drive toward modern efficiency carries a complex environmental paradox. Following Mongolia's transition from a state-controlled economy in the early 1990s, government caps on herd sizes were lifted, and livestock was fully privatized. Spurred by growing global demand for cashmere wool, herder families expanded their goat herds significantly to boost their cash income. Within 3 decades, Mongolia's total livestock population exploded from roughly 20 million animals to an unprecedented 70 to 90 million head. This massive increase in livestock has placed unsustainable pressure on fragile desert pastures. Sheep graze grass down to the surface, but cashmere goats pull plant roots directly out of the friable soil, preventing pasture regeneration. Compounding this ecological stress, industrial mining operations in provinces like Gobi draw millions of gallons of water from deep underground aquifers. Meanwhile, unpaved dirt tracks carved across the fragile desert crust by heavy trucks accelerate wind erosion, turning grasslands into loose, blowing all over the moose, blowing dust. Human activity and climate pressures are combining to accelerate the very desertification that threatens nomadic pastoralism. Surviving summer heat in the Gobi is only half of the battle. The most dangerous test of nomadic endurance occurs when parched summer droughts lead directly into an extreme winter phenomenon unique to Mongolia, the dzud. A dzud is a severe climatic disaster where summer drought is followed by extreme winter freezing and heavy snowfall. When summer pastures are parched, livestock cannot eat enough vegetation to build up the thick layer of body fat needed to survive winter temperatures that drop to -40 or 45 degrees Fahrenheit. The disaster deepens when specific weather conditions strike. In a white dzud, exceptionally deep snow covers the pastures, making it impossible for weakened animals to push through to reach forage. In an iron dzud, brief temperature thaws are followed by sudden, sharp freezes, locking the ground under a solid sheet of thick ice. Unable to break through the icy barrier, millions of animals succumb to exhaustion, starvation, and extreme cold. Take the case of Ugana, a 27-year-old nomad in central Mongolia. After a night of howling winter winds and -45-degree freezes, he shoveled his way out of his gyre to check on his herd. Over 100 goats and sheep he had raised from birth were buried under 3 feet of snow, frozen to death overnight. Elder herders report seeing snowdrifts stacking as high as the roofs of their yurts, blocking roads and trapping families for weeks. Scientists point out that climate change is increasing the frequency of these deadly winter events, historically occurring once a decade. Major dzuds now strike every few years. In severe winter cycles, millions of livestock perish nationwide. For a herding family, losing their livestock means losing their entire life savings, food supply, and economic livelihood in a single season. It is an environmental double whammy, scorched by drought in July, frozen by severe blizzards in January. The ongoing struggle against climate change and desertification is taking a heavy toll on rural communities. As grazing land diminishes, social structures begin to shift. To keep children enrolled in schools and regional centers, families are often forced to divide. Wives remain in settled village towns with the children, while herdermen stay behind in the deep desert, managing what remains of their livestock in profound isolation. Bayar Seykan Namsrai, a director at a rural rights organization, notes that this growing isolation increases mental stress and breaks traditional community support networks that once helped families endure hard times. Seeing the relentless hardship of pastoral life, many in the younger generation are choosing a different path. Munktul sheds tears when reflecting on her children's future, knowing they do not plan to follow in her footsteps. None of our kids wants to be a herder. How can a child think it is okay to live in the countryside when they see drought year after year? Every year, thousands of young Mongolians leave their family lands, moving to the capital city of Ulaanbaatar in search of formal jobs, education, and stability. The city's outskirts are now lined with vast gyre districts where former herders adjust to an unfamiliar urban lifestyle. Centuries of unbroken cultural tradition risk fading within a single generation. And yet, across the vast open spaces of the Gobi Desert, those who stay continue to head out into the dawn. The government has launched national initiatives, including the Blue Horse Water Diversion Project, and a nationwide campaign to plant 1 billion trees to fight land degradation. But the true foundation of survival remains the resilience of the herders themselves. Their persistence is a testament to human adaptability, deep ecological skill, and a commitment to their ancestral heritage. As Munktul quietly puts it, "I believe I can't be who I am without herding." As long as the sun rises over the golden dunes, rocky crags, and open steppes, Mongolian nomads will continue to adapt, navigate the extreme heat, and preserve one of the oldest ways of life on Earth.